The decline. The fluorescent lights of the grocery store buzzed overhead, casting a cold, artificial glow on the checkout line. Eric stood there with a cart full of essentials: bread, milk, a few cans of soup, and diapers for his baby daughter. Nothing extravagant, just the things they needed to get through the week. His wife had sent him out to pick up groceries while she stayed home with their 2 kids. Money had been tight for months now, ever since he got laid off from his job at the warehouse. They were living on the bare minimum, scraping by on what little he made from temporary gigs and the last of their savings. Tonight's trip to the store had already been stressful, watching the total climb higher with each beep of the scanner. $67.37, the cashier said, her voice flat, almost bored. Eric smiled weakly, reaching for his wallet. It felt lighter than it used to. He slid his debit card through the reader, his stomach tightening with anxiety. He'd checked the balance before he left. There should have been enough. Just enough. The screen flashed, declined. His heart skipped a beat. He blinked, hoping it was just a mistake. Let me try that again, he said, forcing a smile. He swiped the card again, declined. A cold sweat broke out on the back of his neck. Behind him, the line of shoppers grew longer, and he could feel their eyes boring into his back. Someone in line sighed loudly. "What's the holdup, man?" A voice snapped from behind. Eric's face flushed. He apologized, fumbling with his phone as he checked his banking app. And there it was, the little icon in the corner of the screen. Card locked. His stomach dropped. He'd forgotten to unlock it after the last bill payment. He wasn't used to having to lock his own card for fear of overdrafts, but these days, that was how it worked. Every penny counted. "I'm really sorry, just give me a second," Eric muttered, his voice cracking. He felt exposed, standing there under the harsh lights, the eyes of strangers judging him, their annoyance building. His hands shook as he tried to unlock the card. The app was slow to load, like it was mocking him. "Some of us have places to be," a woman behind him hissed. "I know, I'm sorry," he stammered, his fingers trembling as he tapped his phone screen. The app lagged, the spinning wheel on his phone screen making his panic rise. He could feel the cashier's patience wearing thin too. She glanced over at the next lane, signaling for help. In the distance, he could hear the faint crying of a baby, though it wasn't real. It was just his mind playing tricks on him, reminding him why he was here. His own baby would be hungry soon. He couldn't go home empty-handed. Finally, the app loaded. He unlocked the card and swiped it one last time. Approved. He let out a shaky breath, his chest tight with embarrassment. He didn't even make eye contact with the cashier as she handed him the receipt. The anger and frustration behind him faded into a dull murmur as he grabbed his bags and hurried toward the exit, his legs feeling like lead. As he stepped into the night air, he could still feel the weight of those judgmental stares, the sneers, the whispered complaints. It clung to him like a shadow. He knew they didn't understand. They didn't know how it felt to stand at a checkout line and wonder if this time the card wouldn't work. To wonder if today was the day they'd have to put things back, to walk away empty-handed, ashamed. He loaded the bags into the trunk and sat in the car for a moment, his hands gripping the steering wheel. His heart still pounded in his chest. He was grateful that it had gone through, that his family wouldn't go hungry tonight. But the fear lingered. There would be other days like this. Days when the balance was too close to zero. Days when a simple trip to the store felt like walking a tightrope over a chasm. And there was always the question gnawing at the back of his mind. What happens when there's nothing left to scrape together? As Eric started the engine and drove home, the hum of the car couldn't drown out the dread settling in his bones. Tomorrow, next week, it could all fall apart so easily. He knew he wasn't alone in this fear, but that didn't make it any less terrifying.